Well, for today's rant, we're going to head back to the mailbox. I got surprisingly little response so far for my rants. However, 2 comments were especially noteworthy. One viewer wrote in, "Evolutionist? A scientist or rational person will often state that he/she does not know, but your lot without any evidence, just faith stick God there." Hence the phrase, God of the gaps. But you know that, you're intellectually dishonest. My guess is you're on the gravy train. Lot of money in stupid. Apparently this viewer needs to watch the video again because he didn't realize that he made my point. We creationists are arguing from what we do know. The evolutionists are arguing from what we do not know. We know that life only comes from life, and like begets like. That's the law of biogenesis. Creation, the model of creation, fits the bill perfectly in that we have life arising from life, and 10 times in the first chapter of Genesis alone, it says that God created everything to reproduce after their kind. Well, gee, that's what we see and why we came up with the law of biogenesis. On the other hand, evolutionists have life arising from non-life and life forms changing over time. This is in direct violation to well-established scientific and natural laws. Now, I'm not going to repeat the whole rant all over again, so I'll just encourage the readers to view Rant 117 and see what this viewer missed. So I also got a response to rant number 107. Now, at least this viewer was somewhat coherent, although they clearly hadn't thought through their argument either. They wrote, "The universe is around 13 billion years old. 7 times 10 to the power of 22 stars in the observable universe. Current evidence shows that most systems have planets. 1 reaction per planet per second per square foot gives 0.9 times 10 to the 212 combos per." Hold it right there. The math I showed was to make 1 protein by chance. So now the respondent has made the impossible problem even more impossible by shortening the time. I at least gave evolution 20 billion years. I was generous. This makes the impossible problem I presented even worse for the evolutionary model. Furthermore, he wants to take that protein and break it up into little pieces and scatter it around the universe so it can be formed a little smidgen at a time on all kinds of different planets throughout the universe. That makes the problem much, much, much worse for evolution. He wrote some more. "Of course, you are still wrong, because evolution doesn't work by chance, but by natural selection." What? Either the origin of life was a guided process or an unguided process. If it was guided, then that means there was a creator. If it was unguided, then that means it's chance. A roll of the dice. Blind luck. Russian roulette. So are you now agreeing that there was some kind of guidance involved? If so, thanks for agreeing with me. Secondly, natural selection only works on what we already have. Natural selection may explain the survival of the fittest, it does not explain the arrival of the fittest. He wrote some more. "All that is needed is 1 self-replicating molecule, which wouldn't need to be anywhere near the complexity of a 200 amino protein." Do you have any idea what you just wrote? Do you have any idea how complicated a self-replicating molecule is? Well, let's help them out a little here. This past month, an article came out in Science magazine. The scientists claimed that they created self-replicating RNA. Now, to their credit, they were quick to point out that they had not produced life in the lab. Of course, this is because life needs proteins, and I'm not going to repeat the entire rant number 107 here. Nevertheless, this self-replicating RNA seems to fit the bill for what our respondent is claiming. It's a self-replicating molecule, supposedly. I happen to have a copy of the supplemental of the article, straight off Science's website, so let's take a look at what they did. Oligonucleotides were either purchased from Integrated DNA Technologies, San Diego, California, or synthesized on an Expedite automated DNA-RNA synthesizer from Applied Biosystems, Foster City, California. Histidine-tagged T7 RNA polymerase was purified from E. coli strain BL21 containing plasmid PBH161, kindly provided by William McAllister, State University of New York, Brooklyn. Calf intestine phosphatase, E. coli poly-A polymerase, and T4 polynucleotide kinase were purchased from New England Biolabs, located in Ipswich if you want some. Here is a drawing from the evolutionary artists at NASA. They are depicting the world as they believe it looked like at the beginning. Now look very, very closely. Do you see laboratory supply houses like Integrated DNA Technologies? Or Integrated DNA Technologies Purified Oligonucleotides? Do you see an Applied Systems DNA-RNA synthesizer? What about isolated E. coli genomic DNA? Or do you see a scientist to put it all together to make self-replicating RNA that took no intelligence to make? Nah, I'm looking real close. I'm not seeing it either. No, definitely not seeing it. I'm reminded of those wonderful MasterCard commercials. Integrated DNA Technologies Purified Oligonucleotides, $350. Applied Systems DNA RNA Synthesizer, $35,295. Isolated E. coli genomic DNA, $50 per ounce. Producing self-replicating RNA in the lab that took no intelligence? Priceless. The things needed for the origin of life, money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. And even if you had self-replicating RNA, so what? What are you going to do with it? RNA and DNA by itself is utterly useless. But I'll save that for another rant for another day. Another viewer posted a comment on rant number 121. The problem with that is, how is intelligent design testable, repeatable, and falsifiable? Also, what is the mechanism in which the designer designed? Well, in all fairness, that's a good question. First of all, I'm not attempting to explain how the designer designed. It's like trying to ask, how did evolution produce the first life by natural processes? You can't answer it. There was nobody there to observe it. We can't repeat it, etc. The question is not how did it happen. The question is, did we evolve or were we created? And this is where the scientific tool of intelligent design comes to the rescue, so that we can figure out which faith, evolution or creation, is the correct one. As an example, let's take a look at the pyramids. We have no observers who observed the pyramids being built. We don't know how they built them, so obviously we can't repeat the process. Does that mean that the pyramids did not have a designer? No. The pyramids had a creator. We know that. That is a fact. We don't need to even repeat it. We already know that that is the case. And so it is the same with the key of intelligent design, that scientific tool which determines and helps us to deduce which faith, evolutionist or creation, is the correct faith. And in this case, the key, the scientific tool of intelligent design, clearly points that we were created. Well, that's enough for today's rant. We're going to have lots of more mailbags in the future and lots of more rants to come. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and check back often. There'll be a lot more rants to come.